Here's exactly how you can warm up in 5 minutes or less for your kettlebell sessions so that you can firstly stay safe, but secondly, get the most out of every single workout. And this is a 3-step process, but first, let's talk about why we actually want to warm up. And there's a few reasons. Firstly, a lot of the literature that you'll see says that if you don't warm up, if you fail to do an adequate warm up, your risk of injury goes way up. And this makes sense if your muscles are cold, if they don't have adequate blood flow to them, and if they're not pre-stretched and ready for the workout. It's far easier for them to snap, it's far easier to pull muscles, and to get injuries that'll keep you sidelined for at least a couple of weeks. It also allows your heart rate to get up to where it needs to be in order to complete the workout that you're about to do, and it allows your blood vessels to dilate ready for the session. You do not want to shock your heart, you don't want to shock your blood vessels, you want them to incrementally prepare for what you're about to do. But the issue that a lot of people get wrong, especially when they're working out on a time crunch, is thinking that their warm-ups have to be 10 to 15 minutes long. And whilst it's good to have a thorough warm-up and make sure that you are fully prepared for the session, spending half of your workout time warming up is just not a good use of time. So here is the 3-step process that you can use to warm up in 5 minutes. Step 1 is to start raising the heart rate. So you can do this in a few different ways. The way I always do it is just with marching on the spot. I'll do marching on the spot for about 30 to 60 seconds. You could do jumping jacks, anything that just slowly gets your heart rate up to the point that it needs to be. This is what is called a pulse raise, and it is exactly that. It just gets your pulse higher before you move onto stage 2. Now, stage 2 is slightly more specific. So no matter what workout you're doing, stage 1 is always going to be a pulse raise. It's going to be a full body movement like marching on the spot, like jumping jacks. Once you move on to stage 2, you want to start thinking about what you're actually going to be doing in that workout. For example, if you're going to be doing a lower body workout with kettlebell front squats or goblet squats, it makes sense to start doing some dynamic movements that work your legs. For example, this could be bodyweight squats. There's not much use doing arm hugs or arm circles if you're about to go into a workout that is primarily legs. In the same way, there's not a huge amount of benefit in doing bodyweight squats if you're about to do clean and press. So stage 2 uses something called specificity, which means we engage the muscles that we're about to use in the workout. And I actually often combine stage 1 and 2 together. I might do 30 to 60 seconds of marching on the spot, and then immediately do 15 to 30 seconds of bodyweight squats, rest for 15 seconds, and then repeat that 3 or 4 times. This gets my heart rate up, this gets my hips, knees, and ankles ready for the squats I'm about to do in the workout, and it redistributes blood to where I want it to be. Now, there's 2 mistakes that I often see people make when they do their warm-ups. The first is doing static stretches like hamstring stretches, quad stretches, anything where you are stretching the muscle and holding it in that position for a prolonged period of time. This kind of stretch is great at the end of the workout for general flexibility and mobility, but before a workout, it's pretty useless and actually can be counterintuitive. You don't actually want your muscles to be too stretched and too loose before you jump into a workout. And some research even shows that if you do static stretches before your workout, you may even be increasing your risk of injury. So instead, that's why we do these dynamic movements, these dynamic stretches like bodyweight squats, like lunges. If it's upper body, you might want to do some arm circles, some arm hugs to get the muscles and the joints primed for the movements you're about to do. The second mistake I see quite a lot is people resting for too long between their warm-up sets. A big part of warming up is making sure that your heart rate gets up and then stays at a certain level ready to start the workout. If you get your heart rate up and then let it drop and then do another warm-up set, then let your heart rate drop again, there's not much use in that. You want to get your heart rate up and then you want to keep it up. So I would recommend only resting about 15 to 20 seconds between each warm-up set. The sets shouldn't be too strenuous. These are warm-up sets. They're not actual workout working sets. They are warm-up sets. They're supposed to be easy. They're just to ease your body into the session. Now, step 3 is completely optional. Stage 3 is good if you want to be fully primed and fully ready for your session, but if you're on a time budget, it actually isn't crucial. And I have to admit, I rarely do stage 3 myself, and that is to do a bridging set or a few bridging sets between the bodyweight exercise you did and the actual working sets that you're about to do. So for example, if I'm about to do a double kettlebell front squat with 2 24-kilo kettlebells, I might do a bridging set with 2 10-kilo dumbbells just to bridge the gap between body weight and the weight that I'm actually going to use in the workout. So if you finish stage 1 and 2 and you still feel like you need a bit more to warm up, then by all means do stage 3. If you finish stage 2 and you're feeling a bit warm and toasty and sweaty and you feel that your muscles are ready to go, then you can just go straight into the workout. So let's quickly recap the steps. Step 1 is to get your heart rate up. This could be through marching on the spot, this could be through star jumps, anything that's going to raise your pulse initially. And then stage 2 is to mobilize the joints and the muscles that you're about to use in the workout. So for example, if you're going to be doing a leg workout or a lower body workout, it would make sense to do some bodyweight squats or bodyweight lunges to make sure that your hips, knees and ankles are mobilized, to make sure that your leg muscles are dynamically stretched before you jump into the workout. And this will also help to keep your heart rate elevated. For a lot of people, a few rounds of just stage 1 and 2 will be enough for a full warm-up. If you still need more, you can do stage 3, which is bridging sets between body weight and the actual weight that you're going to be using within your workouts. So I really hope that cleared things up. Hopefully you now see how simple your warm-ups can be and that you understand that longer isn't necessarily better when it comes to warming up. Thank you for watching. See you next time.